Let the server know we're live. I've already announced it on socials. Some people can be like, "Oh my yard." I don't know if I can say that anymore.
No, that
No.
people just take offense to that now. Oh no.
I know. I can't even talk about, like 3 hole punches or anything either.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hey, hyperspace prospector. Yeah. I mean, I can't even talk about, 3 hole punches or anything like that, without crying. I had to use a
Mhm.
3 hole punch at work earlier, and that Faye's not here tonight, John. Um, yeah, I had to use a 3 hole punch at work earlier, and I just went, Jackie.
No.
Yeah, and then like my coworkers were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was just like, "Never mind."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the 3 hole punch. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the live show, or we like to call it the Acolyte Support Group because that's exactly what this is. Unfortunately, Swagman did not send you and myself tissues,
No.
Yord Horde or Jecky Jam
No.
tissues. I wrote Yord on my home steamer. I need to add in memorial. Yeah. Um, yeah, the Yord Memorial Steamer. That's what. Well, I can't think of a 3 hole punch the same way. Exactly. But anyway, Allie Andrews is finally back with us after a year in the most magical place on
On
earth.
Earth. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
Um no, it was great hanging out with you when we were down there back in March. It was so much fun. We had a great time with you. And it was a lot of fun. So thank you for hanging out with us while we were there.
Of course. Yeah, I was very grateful that while I was down there, so many people from our community were able to visit. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. You did get to see both my wife and myself tear up at a fireworks show.
It was amazing. Honestly,
Yeah.
one of the top moments of my program because it was the reaction was so good. It made me so happy.
It was such a great show. It was such a great show.
Yes.
I can't wait to see it again when we're going back in September, actually.
No.
Um, they had a big deal, but anyway, great to have you here. We are going to have you on again soon because I would love to hear all about your college program. Hey, Amanda. Non-Star Wars fans, why are people crying when they see 3 hole punches and suddenly going to the gym? Exactly. I think it's time that we all got swole too, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Apparently we all need Sith arms now.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about a little thing that happened this past week. And we're not talking about the latest episode of The Boys. No, 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 no. We're talking about the bloodbath
The
that
book.
was the
Yes.
Acolyte. Um, Allie, how did you feel about this episode?
This is gonna sound really bad. I love this episode. I always hate when I say that about, like, angsty Star Wars, but, like, I did. I loved it so much. I haven't
Mhm,
rewatched the Star Wars episode this much in such a long time. Um, it's just so good from the action, the music, the acting,
mhm,
all of it is so, so amazing, and I know we're gonna go deeper into all of that, but it's just
mhm.
all of it just hits so hard in so many places, especially things that I just love about Star Wars and this show in particular. It
Yeah,
was just so good.
yes. John says, "Don't ask Star Wars fans what happened on June 25th,
No.
2024." No. And Amanda says, "If it had been an episode of The Boys, it would be so bloody." Yes. Yes, it would. It would
Yep.
be like the "Hey, Bright Suns, how's it going, buddy?" It would be like the last 2 episodes of The Boys, which I'm not here to talk about because That show is messed up beyond all belief. Um, I will say this: I, when you and I did our reaction to the trailer, when we talked
Mm,
about the trailer, we talked about how this was going to be a very dark show.
yeah, we did talk about that, yes. While we were at
Yeah.
Disney.
And while we were at Disney waiting in line for a ride
People just
that
casually
that
sitting
we couldn't
there.
even go on
No.
because it
Yeah, we didn't
broke.
say that because the video ended before that even happened, like, the ride
Yeah.
closed down, we didn't even get to go on there.
We didn't even get to go on Ratatouille Adventure.
So sad.
Yeah. Honestly, I love this episode. I wanted Chimera to do more. Oh, and hyperspace
More?
prospect. Yeah,
More?
more.
Oh, dear lord.
Hyperspace prospector says I've not been this up since Starlight Beacon.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was the Starlight Beacon episode.
Yeah.
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 Actually, a lot of people said like if this was an episode of Game of Thrones, this would be the Red Wedding.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just so surprised at the bloodbath. I can't get it out of my head. Okay, let's dive into this. Chimera wiped the floor with these
Literally.
people.
Like, oh my gosh, I saw so many posts before this
Spoiler alert.
episode. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
I saw so many posts before this episode being like, "Oh, they're just gonna kill off all the nameless people. It's fine. Like, that's just normal." No.
Mm-mm.
No. There was much
No,
that.
he. Oh man, he destroyed every single one of these people.
Yep.
Like so casually too. Like Yord. Yeah, that's true too. Like he. Okay, spoilers again. He kills Yord like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He just goes,
No, I don't need to think about it.
yeah,
No. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And the way he just, like, throws it, like, I can't. I can't do it. Like,
Amanda said,
I know everyone's thirsting, but I'm still in my, like, trauma. Once I, like, heal, then we can get to, like, the thirsting, but, like, right now I'm still like,
uh,
ing.
uh, Amanda says I could have had more of a bloodbath. That's my only complaint. Holy crap!
What, were they gonna, like, call in reinforcements, and then he was
He literally impaled two people with his lightsaber at
like
the same time. And then he's headbutting lightsabers because he has a cortosis helmet
yeah,
and it's shorting out. And I'm like, oh crap.
literally.
Yeah. Yeah, that toss afterward. Oh yeah, no, he just goes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, was that its name? I'm sorry, excuse me? Violate me? Like, what the heck?
I, more Sith destruction. Amanda, you and I are gonna have a conversation this week.
Literally.
You and I are
Okay,
gonna
now I feel bad saying I like the episode because apparently I'm just thirsty.
it was okay. So
Oh
like
my god.
Soul and Chimera have this exchange that
Yes.
just made me just it made me drop my jaw with this exchange where Soul says she was just a
I cannot hear you.
hello, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's good.
Oh, good. My computer decided to stop registering my mic for a second. Um anyway, that line where he says she was just a child and then Chimera says you're the one that brought her here.
Exactly.
Do you
It
think Soul knew it was gonna go down?
I mean, probably didn't think something like this would happen, but I think it's still calling out the fact that he still brought her into a situation where that could have escalated, where like unforeseen things could have happened. Like, I think it's just a general call out of because he like questions a lot of like the Jedi's rules and the Jedi's
Mhm.
philosophies, and I think that's kind of like the rule slash philosophy he's calling out is the fact that Jedi do bring young people into like war and dangerous situations a lot, and yeah,
What?
like that is something they do. So he called
No. No. The people in Star Wars bring children into war zones? No.
no, that's totally not what happens in like every single show.
No. Padawans were definitely not Jedi commanders during the Clone Wars.
Literally. Like,
Oh.
mm,
Ahsoka cough cough.
literally, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. I'm like, yeah,
But I do have
yeah.
to say this, Jackie held her own against him.
Oh no, she was a standout for me, like for sure. Amazing. So
Mm.
good.
I mean, I just love Daphne Keene in general, so it's awesome to see her just kick a bunch of ass. Lots of coffee going on. What? No. I think there's a sickness from the acolyte. That's what
Oh my
happened.
god. It's because we
Yeah.
didn't get the tissues, you know? So
Hmm?
we're all sick now. We're all sick without those tissues, you know.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We need Star Wars approved tissues to get
Or make
through.
my own now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess, I'll well, if I find some at Disney, I'll let you know. The sickness of the dark side. Yeah. Jackie was my favorite part of the episode. Yeah, I mean, she holds her own against Chimere. I mean, we're kind of all over the place in the reactions here, but like you kind of have to be.
Yeah, and after an episode like that, how are you not gonna be?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's really hard to talk about it beat for beat from the beginning to the end because so much happens in this episode. And I
Mhm.
still think we're all floored by the two massive deaths.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will say this, Chimere with the second lightsaber, that was awesome.
Yeah. Awesome
Allie,
to keep
as like, tell me your thoughts, like during this whole fight,
the whole thing.
the whole fight.
um, I think it's hard for me because like I love this kind of action stuff, but I think I death is still hard for me to see, especially very like ones that go to those extremes that like Yords and Jackie's did. Like Yords, I haven't been able to watch it again since I watched the episode. Like every time I've rewatched this episode since, I like skip past the Yord one because I can't watch it.
Yeah,
So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's some of the best like lightsaber action we've like ever gotten, and so I really enjoyed like the fight scenes. But I am still processing the weight of it. Like that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. I couldn't have taken more bloodbath. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. It is a heavy, heavy episode.
It is.
Um, I mean, just from like what it means to be a Jedi, to like, the burden of teaching, like with Soul and everything.
Mhm.
Um, you have Osha and you have May trying to find themselves too. It's crazy. Like you have all of these themes going on, and you have all of these internal and external conflicts all at the same time in this episode. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. Chimera is just awesome so far. I love how he pretended to be such a weak person. Yeah, well,
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. I've been
no.
like rewatching the old Chimere scenes from like previous episodes, and I am like eating it up so much. It is
Hmm.
so amazing. Like the performance, even if everyone was like guessing it was him, like the way he performs and the way he covers it up within like the story, like even if I can maybe like put pieces together and think, oh, it's him, he eats up that performance going from
Hmm.
weak little voice and like freaking out, no, no, don't hurt me, to like, I am the Sith Lord and I won't,
Hmm.
well, Sith, the Lord quotes, we can talk about that later, but like, I am the
We're about
supposed
to get
gonna
there.
stay Sith for now, Lord. Um, like just
Hmm.
slicing you all down. Like
Yeah.
it's an amazing transition. I love it. It's so
I also love there's a bit like after Jackie and Yord die,
mhm.
and like May shows up, or no, it's during the fight with Jackie and Yord and Soul that May shows up, and then Chimera just looks at her and he says, "Oh, hello," like his old self.
Exactly, exactly. I love that.
I love how unhinged he is, like in just that one
Yeah.
sequence.
Yeah, and
It's
it's like
beautiful.
to make it hit her even more, where it's like, especially because he follows that up with like, "You really didn't know it was me." Like he didn't doesn't just be like, "Oh, she's gonna know it's me." Like, he like falls back into that persona for a second to be like to really make it sink in for her. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I was like someone you were like working with, but I was actually a person you were working with also. Like,
Hmm.
just really make that hit on her. Like, ugh.
And so I will say this, like looking back on it, episode 4 really kind of lays the breadcrumbs for him
Yes,
to be this, to be the Darth Teeth, I guess we could say Darth Teeth.
yes,
Um because like I keep going back to that conversation that he has with May when they're walking towards the
yes.
woods, and he keeps talking about, so this is what you have to do, like why do you have to do this?
Mhm.
And I'm thinking he's either playing really, really dumb or he's the one that's pulling the strings.
Yes. Yeah, I was just taking notes on it, and it's like crazy where not even that where he's even like going back and forth with it, but like also he kind of puts on keeps the persona up but plays his other persona at the same time,
Hmm.
because in this like conversation he's saying things like, you realize like in the earlier scenes he's like, you have to like follow through with like the weapon thing, you don't have many Jedi left to kill, and then like in the episode before in Day he's like saying things like, I you have to go do this. You have to do this. He'll kill you. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. And then he also, I ate this part up. It really goes into his whole, his whole like kind of attachment, wanting an acolyte, wanting a pupil, wanting a,
Hmm.
like, wanting to receive, kind of reciprocate a kind of bond,
Hmm.
where he's saying things like, I risk, it's not that I risk my life for the master, I risk my life for you, May, to go
Hmm.
into those woods and find the Wookiee. Like, I did that for you. And then he's saying things like, I'm here, I'm supporting you, I'm gonna get you water, we can sit down. Like he really plays up this thing. And he even at one point like is like, admit it, you need me. He literally
Hmm.
says like that. He says, admit it, you need me. He's like really trying to pull at the whole, we're bonded, we're connected. Don't
Hmm.
you can't you admit that you need me? Because I
Hmm.
think we're really attached to that need for that acolyte, that pupil, especially when I think he sees her slipping away.
Yeah. Now I will ask you this because I've been thinking about this, and this question has actually popped up like through other podcasters and everything.
Mhm.
And in speculation, is May actually the acolyte, or is it Darth Teeth that's actually the acolyte?
See, I really don't know how I feel about this one still. Because I really don't feel like he has someone above him at the moment, just because of how insistent and protective he seems to be over this whole rule of two in terms of him and a student, like in
Hmm.
terms of him and someone who follows him. And like, so I don't feel like there's someone above him personally. That's my personal belief. What do you think?
I'm I think you and I talked about this before. Um but I'm still thinking he's either answering to Plagueis or he's answering to
Mhm.
Tenebris.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
have a feeling like he's answering to one of those two. And I also have a feeling he's kind of pulling the whole thing that Dooku did with Ventress, with trying to, train Ventress so that the two of them could take out. Palpatine.
Mm.
And I'm thinking maybe that's what he's doing. We're getting to that, John. We're gonna get to that. So just give me a second here. John's asking about the Knights of Ren.
Ren, yeah.
Um, because we do hear the Kylo Ren theme play
Yes.
in the background. Um, does he start the Knights of Ren, or do the Knights of Ren know about Chimere and kind of follow in his footsteps?
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I honestly, like I said, like, why I per se see him more as as like the leader type, like not
Mhm,
necessarily a leader, but like as the more individual who's working to start something, aka like Knights of Ren or whatever. But
mhm.
like I could still see like little pieces that could allude to him, like we talked about like his some of his desperation with like certain things or some of his like really attachment to like needing to get things done a certain way. I think though until we learn more of Soul's past and what's going on with that, I can't like for sure fall more on that side. I feel like right
Yeah,
now I'm still more attached to the idea that he's an individual entity, but as to seeing more of what happened in the past, that could sway me a different way depending. I don't know.
I think I think Soul knows who Chimere is. He's just not
Yeah.
saying anything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I just something happened on Rendok that we don't know.
Hmm.
We need more. I'm so intrigued. It's like I love how the show keeps throwing out like mysteries, and I'm just that one. I'm so
Hmm.
excited to learn more about that.
Well, I have a feeling like we're probably next episode's probably going to be the flashback.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I would like to see them kind of like bookend the present day at the beginning and the end of the episode, and then like have the flashback as the meat of the episode.
Mhm.
He didn't say he was a Sith. No,
No, he did
that
not.
is true.
I went
Uh,
like this, people. I
mhm.
know.
Yeah, he just said you all would call me a
Call me a
Sith.
Sith. Yeah.
Yeah. He and that's when we hear that Kylo Ren theme play as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think, oh man, I'm trying to think here. Like Leslie Headland and that team do such an amazing job at throwing everything at you
Mhm.
that you have to take time to process this.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think he's like if he is a Sith, I think that's awesome. And I think he's like such a renegade Sith that he doesn't acknowledge that he's a Sith.
Mhm. Yeah.
But if he isn't a Sith and this is like his like initiation into it, I think that that's pretty interesting too.
Mhm.
Um I mean, he can still be a really badass villain without being a Sith. I get it, Mandy. Like you are all in on Sith and a lot of people are all in on
Yeah.
Sith.
Yeah.
But even if he isn't, but like he's adjacent to it, I still
Mhm.
think that that's an interesting move.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like how within other groups of Star Wars, people have different beliefs about their following or different like or different ways of doing their beliefs or blah blah. Like I think about Mandalorians just because those are the characters I love so much.
Hmm.
So per se, like whether he uses the official title or not, he's clearly still having similar like attachments to Sith,
Hmm.
like the rule of two, wanting a pupil, questioning the Jedi's way of doing things,
Hmm.
getting consumed by like those other like those darker tendencies like he still
Yep.
reflects a lot of the prophecy like not prophecies what am I saying a lot of like the ways the
Hmm.
Sith like act
Hmm.
but like he still says the judge I think if anything the reason he refuses the title is because of that whole I don't want someone to and this is honestly I think a big like theme in the show because OSHA deals with this a lot. I don't want someone else to tell me like my path. Like
Hmm.
because he's like you all might call me a Sith, and I think that's why it's hard for him to use that term if anything because he doesn't want to just have the Jedi give him a term and then be like, oh, I know exactly who you are,
Yeah.
Chimere. You're a Sith, so this is what you do.
Yeah.
Um, because OSHA deals with that a lot too. She's like, May, you don't tell me my path. You don't tell me my path. I'm making my
Mm,
path. I think that's just something the show's
yeah.
reflecting a lot. So that might be a reason as to why he's maybe a bit more hesitant on that title.
Mhm. John, to answer your question, I think Soul might actually be part of the Lost 20. I think the events of this show are going to push him to leave the Order. I really think
Hmm.
so, especially after losing Jackie. Maybe Soul is the Sith. Oh, well, that's
Mhm.
another thing too, because Chimera says, "Oh, you don't remember me?" Like,
Yeah. And
um,
I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours? Like, hmm.
well, that's what we're trying to talk about. Maybe he was part of the Order. We're saying Soul might be the Sith because they said that this is about the infiltration of the Sith into the Jedi Order to start bringing down the Jedi Order. Like, that's how it was pitched. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm. 'Cause
Um,
I feel like at that point, because either he needs to die, which I would prefer that's not the route we're going, or he needs to, like, not be too vocal or keep silent
mm,
or leave the order or just be more distant to it or deal with it more personally. I'm not trying to be too rule based with the whole, "Oh my god, the Sith are dead, the Sith are not dead." Like, it's not necessarily that drives that logic for me. It's more just because I feel like because I was watching those old episodes when I was watching the old, like, Chimera scenes, and even before his interactions with Chimera in this episode, he's still saying things along the lines of, "I'll tell you everything, Osha. We're dealing with it, Osha. Like, it's gonna be fine, Osha. I made peace with it, but I'll make sure I'll explain everything once we get May." Like, he says stuff like that, and I was like, "I don't remember you saying this until, like, I rewatched the episode," because, like, you think it's all really this episode that drives that, but clearly he's been dealing with whatever demons he's been dealing with for a long time. Even if he
mhm.
tells her he's accepted it, clearly there's still something he feels he needs to tell her because before they even get to that planet, he's telling her that.
Vern. So, what if Soul goes Barash Val? I think that that would be interesting if he went
Mm.
Barash Val. And oh yeah, Vern will be crushed if he's a Sith. She might
Oh
leave
god.
the Order. Yeah. Um. Actually, you know what? What if it's Vernestra?
Oh my god, no! Not for this.
After Temptation of the Force,
I know, but still.
anything's up in the air.
I know, I know, I know.
I mean, after Temptation of the Force, anything's up in the air with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't do this to me. Oh, we're doing it.
we're
We're
doing
doing it.
all the things.
Yeah, yeah. Amanda's kind of on board with it too. It could be Vern, yeah. I still think Indara is still alive and she might actually be the one pulling the strings.
Interesting. I mean, it would explain why she's still so prevalent in all the marketing. I'm joking. I know. I know that doesn't matter. That doesn't factor in. People use dead Jedi all the time in marketing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but no, that is an interesting idea, especially because like she was kind of like a catalyst for a lot of what's been happening in the show. So it'd be interesting if she comes back and is like, "Hey,
Yeah.
hey."
Yeah, I've read Temptation. I don't think it's Vern. The only reason why I say that it could be Vern, it's just because of the way she gets pushed at the end of that book in the conflict at the end of that book. That's why I'm saying that it could be Vern. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just throwing it out there that it could be, especially because she still does have the hyperspace paths and all that other stuff too. So um, there's that. It's just a wild bantha theory. Like putting any I'm not putting any eggs in that basket. I'm just saying like it could be. Um, you know, maybe it's Kiadi Mundi. You know, maybe.
What? Okay, now I
Oh, that's right. That's right. She just has the one path. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she just has the one path, yeah. No, it's Kiadi Mundi. He's the one pulling the strings the entire time. It's him and Darth Jar Jar.
Oh my god, you're gonna reawaken like so much fandom discourse. Let's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yoda's involved. Yoda is involved because he covers up everything. Unflavored ice mounds, aka equals path to the Sith. Yeah, exactly. And keep in mind, this is the Kiadi Mundi is a polygamist, and he does have attachments.
Oh my god.
Kiadi Mundi has been playing dumb the entire time.
That
Uh,
explains why you try to cover it up.
yeah, exactly. If this is your first time here on the live stream, I apologize. We are all over the place with our
Oh,
theories and
I forgot
everything.
how long.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Um,
That's great.
yeah. Yeah. He's just been playing dumb the whole time.
My god.
He was actually Snoke. Kiadi Mundi was actually Snoke.
Don't we see him die?
Yeah, yeah, we do. Kiadi Mundi, clearly the one Darth Turgle trained him. Turgle. Oh, I love it. Hashtag Turgletown USA. Anyway, back to the bloodbath. Um, do you think it was? Do you think that it was wrong to take Kalneka off the board that early?
Yeah. What is it with Wookiees always being the first ones to get off the board?
Not Gungi though.
No.
Not
No,
Gungi.
not good, but like, you know what I mean? Just like, ugh,
Yeah.
just too often, like,
Darth Turgle took over after Darth Jar Jar
oh my
tragedy.
gosh, okay. Um, like, I get it was a good way to, like, further frame May, but, like,
Mhm.
at the same time, like, he just kind of was gonna kill her anyway, so it's kind of weird that I think it's unfortunate too. Like, did I
Mhm.
need to see another on-screen death? Not really, but it would have been cool to see him in action, so I don't know.
I think it would have been awesome for him to go up against Chimere. Like
Yeah,
that would have just been
yeah.
so badass and awesome. I think
Oh,
it was a definitely a wasted opportunity. Um, especially when you cast Jonas Sutomo again as a Wookiee Jedi.
exactly, and he was barely in it.
Hmm.
He was not even in it. Like, I don't even count the one scene. Like, no.
No. Kelnaka versus Chimera would have been awesome. That would have been like a
Exactly.
prize fight.
My gosh.
Mm. Burry will show up in the final episode and take out Chimera. Burry and Arkoff. Burry and Arkoff.
Yes. Yes.
I'm also calling Porter Ingle is going to be showing up again too.
Mm.
Just saying. Oh wait, now that Temptation of the Force is out, Porter's still alive. I'm
Yep.
happy. Thank you. Did you read Temptation of the Force?
I s I kind of I read it, but, like, you know, because I was at Disney, I kind of,
Oh
like,
yeah.
ha half asleep read it. So I should reread it
Okay.
now that I have, like, energy, if that makes sense. Like, I read it, but I didn't, like, take notes the way I did with the other books. So,
Disney Disney Disney's a weird place.
it
Like
is. We never
times
sleep at Disney, you know?
yeah, time just seems to not exist
It
at
doesn't. It
Disney.
really
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah. Except for when you have to arrive and when you have to leave.
Yeah.
Uh anyway, yeah, so Arkoff and Burry are gonna show up in the finale to take out Chimere. Um I mean that would be badass and
Yeah.
awesome. Especially like, oh, and could you imagine like Aslan Rel showing up
Oh
too,
my
like to
god.
do that too?
Mhm.
Um
See,
anyway,
you're gonna get us more bloodbath. There you go, you're
oh
doing it.
yeah, I wrote the finale.
Just inviting everyone to the bloodbath.
I wrote the finale. It's just 40 minutes of just people getting slaughtered.
No.
Like 2 lines of dialogue. I just figured it was actually what it is it's a giant slaughter with Dragon Ball Z style inner monologuing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so when it comes to villains, that would
Mhm.
be the perfect episode ending. Yeah. When it comes to villains, where do you think Chimere stacks right now?
Hmm. Like, wait, what are we talking about with this? Like, are we talking about his ranking? Are we talking about what we see for his future? Like, what is can you rephrase
So,
the question?
okay, I should have specified.
It's okay.
Yeah, in Star Wars villains, where do you think he ranks right now?
Oh, okay.
And then we can talk about his future in a minute.
I'm scared. I haven't vocalized, like, an opinion like this in, like, a year. This is scary. No, I'm just kidding. Um, it's great to be back
Just,
on the internet. It's wonderful.
yeah, just brush off that dust. He's
Yeah,
Darth Maul
I have
level.
strong armor after working at Disney, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I can fight anything.
He's Darth Maul level. Wow.
He's definitely up there. He's definitely up high.
Mhm.
And, how about I leave it at that? How about I leave it at that, honestly? Like, there's still some above him.
Yeah.
No one specify
Oh
who,
yeah.
but he's definitely up there, you know?
You like him more than Kylo Ren, and I like him more than Maul. Ooh. I like Maul after Maul returns.
See, this is why I think we need to see more too, because I'm like, Maul is such a complex character that we've seen in so much Star Wars. So
Yeah.
I feel like we need to see more Chimere before we can like really make a judgment. Like,
Mhm. Oh, I agree. I agree. And I don't think he's gonna be done by the end of the season. I think he's gonna be sticking around for a while.
yeah, I think so.
Uh, yeah.
As long as we
Um,
only like a few episodes. So yeah.
yeah, and Leslie Headland has said that Disney has pretty much greenlit season 2.
Mhm. She did
Um,
say that they were gonna end the season without like without like an open end, well, not without open ended, but she said she wanted it to feel satisfying. I don't remember
mhm,
the exact quote. I know this was an article that came out God knows when. So I feel like in terms of at least like some of the mysteries that have been set up, at least those probably will have more clarity to them. Do I
mhm.
think it means everyone's gonna be defeated in the end? Probably not. I mean, can that be unsatisfying for some people? Yeah, but I think it still leaves the door open in terms of
Mhm.
that. I don't know.
Well, I'll you're fine, you're fine. I will call it right now. I think May doesn't make it out of the show. I think she sacrifices herself um in order to save Osha and Soul.
Mm,
In all
interesting.
seriousness, I see it ending with Soul taking Osha on as his Padawan again. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. I could also see this being Osha's Jedi trials, and she ends up taking on Yord's old Padawan.
I do I do actually wanna bring something up with this. Just
Sure.
I think this episode and obviously there's time left, so relationships can heal, clarity
Oh
can come
yeah.
to light, and relationships can heal and everything. I know that's the thing. I I'm a comm major, I know this, but I do wanna talk briefly about, like, one particular thing I noted, was Soul and OSHA, and I'm gonna there's gonna be some quotes with this because I know weapons
Mhm.
can be considered fists, but Soul and OSHA both complete the lesson of defeating, in quotes, defeating Chimere without a traditional weapon.
That's
But
true.
the difference, and this is why it's kind of builds that line between them, not only their drama with what are you hiding, what are you doing, Soul in his defeat gives into anger, just goes fist, 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 anger, full on rage. Osha's defeat comes from a place of light, literal light, giving
Yeah.
light to not actually giving into rage, instead pulling Soul out of the rage and trying to focus on a solution where we're avoiding harm and we're avoiding that. And they
Yeah.
both don't use a traditional weapon to do this, but the difference, the division there is like the means to which it's achieved. And I think for me, that did like I don't want to say symbolically. I don't know if symbolically is like the right word, but it did kind of for me draw a bit of a line between those two. Clearly, they have stuff they have to work through, but I think that's going to be determined by how Soul handles things with May and how Osha handles things with Chimere. But at
Mhm.
this point in the story, clearly there is some division between how they are handling this past, this grief, this feelings towards this individual. And then what I think is so interesting is to see how that shifts when the truth comes to light. Like, will it bring soul healing so he doesn't fall into that rage? Or could it bring Osha into more feelings of anger and more rage because she's realizing truths that are hard for her to take in? Because I know I've seen a lot of other people theorizing about that, about will Osha tap in the dark at all once that comes to light? And since she's with Chimera at this time, and I think that's an interesting way to look at specifically through this thing I found with the way they defeated Chimera this episode.
Mhm. No, I think it's really interesting, and you bring a lot of excellent points there. Even the chat's saying that you bring a lot of interesting points and excellent points, and you're right. Like they do defeat Chimera without weapons,
Mhm.
so they kind of fulfill that side of the Sith thing, or of the dark side at that point. Um, I just think it's really interesting that Soul really does go into the dark.
Yeah.
Like, and seeing his rage and seeing that moment, it reminded me a lot of Elzar in the High
Oh,
Republic.
for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
and how like during the attack on Valo, Elzar taps into the dark
Yeah.
and to try to save everybody. Um, and then like Soul has the line about the darkness, you hide in darkness or something like that, and then Chimere just fires it right back at him, and is
Mhm.
like, well, what about your darkness? Like, what about what's inside of you?
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
Maybe Tenebris or Plagueis see Osha and May as potential apprentices over Chimere. That could be true too. Chimere's in an interesting position because I really feel he's a pawn. I don't think he's like a big mastermind.
Well, I don't think he's a big mastermind per se. I just don't think he's I think he could be a pawn, but I don't think he's how about this? I think he could be a pawn, but I don't think he's as, like, puppet string controlled as
Yeah.
maybe some other Star Wars villains we've seen in the past.
No, I will agree with that. Like Dooku, has Tenebris been named to the new canon? Tenebris has not been named to the new canon yet. So far it's been Bane, Revan, and Plagueis, I believe. And then whoever the ones in Lords of the Sith are. Because there's like a couple of other ones too. Um, was Tenebris in? Okay. Anyway, um, that's beside the fact. Um, God. Also, can we pour one out for Pip?
He could be okay. He could be okay. We can fix him, you know?
I hope Pip's okay. I need to get my droid builder over to Kofar to fix Pip, man.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
Skywalker referenced a lot of Sith legions named after them. Yeah. Well, they also named them after. They were also mentioned in Shadow of the Sith too. Um, did you really need the bug thing to try to take out Chimere?
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
I think kind of to my point, I think it was a
it's fine. Basil brought the parts back. Yes, that is true. That is
I
true.
think it was a I personally liked it because it made the buildup that we had in the previous episode have more meaning and have
Hmm.
more presence in the story. It wasn't just a
Hmm.
one-off kind of thing. And I also feel like in terms of OSHA finding a resource in their environment or
Hmm.
something that doesn't have to be that like traditional weapon fight back, I
Yeah.
think I think it was an effective use of what she had, um, at that time. So I felt like I felt like it was good. I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, I gotcha, I gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious to see your thoughts on it because to me it was just one of those things where I was just thinking about it and I was thinking, well, they wouldn't show these bugs without it coming into play down the road.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was interesting, but yeah. Pip is fine. Basil brought the parts back. That's true. Basil, nobody important died because Basil's still alive. So we're good here. Um,
Mhm.
it showed OSHA was observant and wanting to help people with both Jedi traits. That's true too. That is very true. Um, I don't think OSHA's going to be as tempted by the dark side as people think that she is now that she's with Chimere.
I think I'm just a fan of that whole I can get very into this kind of stuff, like the
Mhm,
parallels and how is it gonna affect the future, and I think I'm just I I I keep digging in on that parallel and how they could like Soul and Osha could really with the way they process the truth
mhm,
coming to light, how they'll take affect that. And I think that would just be such an interesting like switch off for them to experiment with. But I definitely could still see like she's been like such a a pure force of light so far. So it would make me sad, of course, if
mhm.
she fell towards the dark, but I would be very intrigued to see how that would happen.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting because I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be interesting to see it happen because I would love to see if they did it. I would love to see Osha go to the dark and then May go to the light because of
Yeah,
Soul
exactly. Yeah.
and how May really sees that Soul does care for people. Soul, is the prime example of what it is to be a Jedi. Now,
See,
I
and
have yeah.
this would actually be something interesting if your idea, if there is a higher power, is true, because my thought on that would be is if this higher power sees Osha and May as part of that plan, he would she, they would want Osha and May to be like that dyad kind of
Mhm.
like 2. And if one's getting pulled one way and one's getting pulled the other way, they're not gonna both be on that, like, darker side of things anymore,
Yeah.
and that might encourage that higher up force, if it exists, to step into the story more because they are seeing that the Jedi are still capable of pulling people consumed by the darkness more back, and the
Mhm.
Chimera is able to like do something, but he clearly like isn't able to retain them both. And
Yeah.
I don't know because I think the whole rule of two is I know it's like supposed to be like one and one and one, but I think
Yeah.
they were trying to build up the fact that while Osha and May are individual people, there is still a unison of one in a
Mhm.
sense by the fact that they're twin sisters.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love that you do hit the nail on the head with the rule of two thing because the rule of two could also apply to balance as well
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
one of the things that we see in Star Wars is it's always about balance between the light. Like you can't have just the light or just the dark. You have to have both of those at the same time.
Mhm.
So to have May and Osha as like prime examples of both the light and the dark, um, yeah, you see that rule of two, you see that balance, which is why I found it interesting that when it comes to the Mortis arc in Clone Wars, um, we no longer have the father, we just have the daughter and the son
Yeah.
because the father sacrifices himself and then you just have the representation of the light and the dark. um so yeah, I think it's really interesting that you tied it in like that because it makes you think about, oh, the rule of two just doesn't apply to Sith, it applies to everything because you really do need that balance. I mean, look at Jedi and Jedi masters and Padawans, it's two.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
No master has ever had more than one Padawan. at a time. At a time.
And it's I'm like, I feel like people are gonna find workarounds and come at you.
I meant at a time. At a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Um, so yeah, that's a rule of two as well. Like people just keep thinking about the Sith having the rule of
mhm.
two. Well, no, the Jedi have a rule of two.
Yeah, and we just talk about, like, balance so much, and, I think that that's why this show, like, eats into so much of so many of those interesting, like, core elements of Star Wars, and
Hmm.
why I think, like, why I'm excited to see where they take that possible bounce
Yeah.
or shifting in the future, because I think building that idea of what if one be splits into two, or what if one can become two again, like that whole idea of where are we taking our balance, how is balance going to be achieved, because clearly we know that they're not going to have, like, this isn't like the full outbreak of everything is awful and the end of the world. Clearly we know
Yeah.
that's going to be the case, but clearly the show is still working on playing with those kind of more fundamental ideas of
Hmm.
how are we going to lose balance in the future? How are people
Hmm.
going to be pulled this way and that way in the future? I think it's really playing into those ideas to kind of build into that future
Hmm.
destiny, future, all that future stuff that's going to happen like hundreds of
Hmm.
like in the future. So yeah, I think it's so interesting, and I can't wait to think about it more after this.
Um, one of the other things, because you talk about how the future of, we're starting to like really see we're starting to see the cracks in the foundation here when it comes to the Jedi Order, and we've been seeing that since the High Republic began.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we've been starting to see the cracks, but
yes.
here I remember back to like the like one of the first episodes where they talk about um how like if they revealed the enemy, or like they revealed like what was going on, um their political enemies would be coming out. And I was thinking, well, the Jedi shouldn't be political. The Jedi shouldn't be involved in politics, because
Mhm,
the Jedi need to operate separate of the Republic. But you're starting to see the Republic really starting to interfere in the Jedi operation. And yeah, the Jedi are now becoming a branch of government without really realizing that they're becoming a branch of government.
mhm,
Like they also want to, and then you have shadow councils, um keeping stuff from the main Jedi council too.
mhm,
So like you're really starting to see like not only the Jedi playing politics within the Republic, but now the Jedi are playing politics within themselves
mhm,
too, and we're really starting to see that as well. And I'm really curious to see where they go with that, in terms of the rest of the season, and of course like within the rest of the High Republic era. But
yeah.
I know it has nothing to do with balancing too. I was just thinking
No, 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 it's a good thought,
about
'cause
what they were
it
saying.
kind of again, it calls back to in terms of, like, the future, it calls back to, like, the whole thing with Jackie, where, like, we
Yeah.
talked about Ahsoka and how it really is, like, the war that causes that whole idea of, "Oh, we" like, even if Soul is, like, reflecting and being like, "Oh my god, we shouldn't pull little ones into war in the future," clearly, they still find ways in the
Yeah.
future to have little ones still be pulled into dangerous situations, into
Hmm.
war, into death, because the things the Sith manipulate in the future cause a continuous cycle of, even if the Jedi try to stand on morals and that's a child, we're not gonna, why would you do that? Why would you cause
Hmm.
harm? Clearly, that doesn't stop because of the things that are going to happen in the future to cause the
Yeah.
Jedi's philosophies to continue have to be cracked at,
Yeah.
because that's the Sith, that's the
Hmm.
dark side. Woohoo! Always
I
causing
mean,
mischief.
we're already seeing it with the Nihil threat in the High Republic. Like,
Oh yeah,
Comac and Bell were Padawans when this started,
exactly.
and now
Yeah.
they're knights.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Like,
that too. Yeah, no, how fast, like, so many Padawans are having to become knights in the High Republic. That is an awesome example, because it's part of it's not only they're getting dreaded, where they're being forced to grow up really fast.
mhm.
Ahsoka is forced to grow up
Oh
really
yeah.
freaking fast in the Clone Wars, like, and so are those 2 when they have to become, like, knights so quickly, like, ugh, it's
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things too. Like, if you look at Ahsoka, the only thing that she's ever known is conflict and war.
Mhm.
Like, because she fought in the Clone Wars and she had to deal with all that death and destruction and everything. And here's the thing, Jackie has never really known conflict
Mhm.
because it's a time of peace.
Yeah, no, Yord and Jackie are like, "What is this? Like,
Yeah,
what is that? We don't know what that is." Like,
yeah,
what?
exactly. So, and like Yord has to grow up fast too.
Mhm.
Even though we see a grown up Yord, he still
Yeah.
has to grow up fast. And
Oh, yeah.
one of the things that we see from Yord in this episode is he takes it upon himself to try to take control of the situation by trying
Mhm.
to do the right thing to not only get Osha out of there, but
Mhm.
then Osha's saying, "Well, now you have the opportunity to be a great Jedi. You should go
Mhm.
back and help Soul." And I'm thinking, "You're an idiot for listening to Osha,
I
but."
know. But I think in a way that's a way he kind of per se grows up
Mhm,
because so much of like being a Padawan per se is like following the master, following the
mhm,
rules, following the orders. And he very much in the way that he ends up dying, passing away, is he disobeys an order. He goes back
mhm,
to the fight to like intervene. And while and that was his way of, even though it led to his demise, that was his way of growing up of saying, yeah, I was given an order, but OSHA is right. I still need to like do my best to try to help
mhm.
and use what I've known, aka the helmet. I know that can help me in this battle. Like use what I know to try to do my best to make change. Whoa,
She said hello. um yeah, I also feel like he he's so unsure of himself, even like when you get to the first episode,
Mhm.
because he's still trying to figure out who he is. He's still trying to figure out what it means to be a Jedi, and he's kind of like in between like full knight and Padawan. Like he's still like in that in between section.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's just interesting to see, like, it's gonna suck because we're not gonna be able to spend any more time with him as this series goes on.
Oh, yeah.
um
Yeah.
because dude literally got Thanos snapped essentially.
Stop! Why?
I'm sorry, I'm
No,
sorry,
it's
I'm
fine. I
sorry.
get it, but, like, yeah, no, that's one of the biggest
um
unfortunate parts is
mhm,
even though it hits hard for this episode that is a loss, it sucks to lose 2 characters that had such
mhm.
potential to be like,
Oh
just to have
yeah.
such an impact on the story. It's
So I have to ask, how many times in the episode did you gasp?
I'm not a big gasper, so when it's I'll still count internal gasps a lot, many times. I don't like audibly gasp a
Fair.
lot, but like I was definitely internally gasping a lot. I was doing the same sometimes when I watch Dark Star Wars because, like I said, I handle. I, I'm a big fan of angst. Like all the fanfic I read is angsty. Like I love angst and stuff, but like I was still whenever I have to watch like Dark Star Wars, I'll have like a pillow and I'll just like hold the. I was like going in the pillow a lot, being like, "Oh my god, pillow, protect me from the darkness."
I
You know?
mean, this is the darkest Star Wars we have ever gotten since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't hold back. It does not hold back at all.
it's brutal. It is brutal.
Like the freaking shish kebab where like he pulls 2 people on a horse. Like, what was that? Like, it's so just out there and like and that's what something that like
Hello.
this mentioned too, the action. Like just
Mhm,
so many unique ways of defeating people and so many unique like just
mhm.
oh my gosh, the action was amazing. Manny did amazing. Like we already talked about Daphne. Manny and Daphne just killed
Oh
it.
yeah,
Killed it.
and I will say this, like, I love how, um, like, Yord talks about how, like, Darth Teef, um, doesn't engage in, like, the regular rules of
Yeah.
combat,
Yeah.
and then, like, Jackie and Soul are kind of like, "Duh, like, you gotta improvise, like, you have to come at this dude like he's coming at you.
And
Like,
he
you
does that
have."
in the end. He picks up the helmet. He
Yeah.
said, "I learned that this helmet can sput out lightsabers, so hey, I'm gonna use that. And I love that for him. I was like, go, Yord. Like, even though it was short lived, like he really did try to do something a little more untraditional
Mhm.
to make a
He
difference.
did. It kind of like goes back to that thing where Qui-Gon says like feel don't think. Like you kind of have to do that in that situation.
Yeah.
John, yeah, you do bring up a point. One of the other darkest times was when Crosshair did order his men to execute those civilians.
Really has been crosshair into this? Oh dear lord.
I I miss my Bad Batch.
Me
I
too.
miss them.
Me
I
too.
miss them so much. Um,
I actually rewatched the finale last night. I was like, oh, that match. Because like
such a great finale.
it was so good. Oh my god.
I mean that whole we'll get back to the Acolyte in a minute. Um,
You will.
but yeah, like that whole sequence. Hey, stay away from my guy Crosshair. His chip was active.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
How dare
true.
you
That's
bring
true.
crosshair into this?
I mean, I've got my Bad Batch shrine right here.
Oh my god, yes.
I've got Wrecker, I've got some clones, and I've got Black Series for Bad Batch. And then I've kind of got like a Mandalorian and Ahsoka shrine over here,
Yeah.
with Thrawn and um,
Nice.
yeah. Anyway, uh, Bad Batch hashtag Crosshair fangirl. I think we're all hashtag Crosshair fangirls. I mean, I'm a Wrecker fanboy, but that's just me.
Yes.
I love my boy Wrecker.
He's so good.
Um, you know, like just joking about that real quick, and like people are probably like, "Well, when we get back to the Acolyte?" Don't worry, we're getting there. Um,
I've been podcasting a year, people. Give me a break.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I haven't seen you since March. Like we
Yeah.
haven't like really talked since March. So yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, how can you not miss those clones? Anyway, they did a quiz on StarWars.com, and it's like, which Bad Batcher are you? And like at first I got Hunter, and I was like, yeah, Hunter's my boy. And then I was thinking about it, and as the show went on more and more, I was like, no, I'd be crazy Uncle Wrecker. Like I would just be that
Yes.
dude.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Wrecker's my boy. Like I love him so much. Um, but this show, man, there's only 3 episodes left, and in no universe will I be upset by Bad Batch discussions. Well, we're going to be talking about Bad Batch soon again.
Yay!
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely want to do a revisit of that. I definitely want to do a revisit of Rebels. Um, I'm not sure. I'm probably most like Echo personally. I love Echo. Is there an Echo in here? I'm Echo. Um, and I don't know if I would want to do Clone Wars because Clone Wars was a lot.
Oh yeah, Clone Wars is a lot. My goodness.
Clone Wars was a lot.
A lot of good, but a lot.
Yeah, but I also want to cover Resistance at some point too.
God, yes.
Yeah, Tech is your favorite. R.I.P. Buddy. I
All right.
still blame Saw Gerrera for him.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
we are going to be talking Bad Batch soon. We're going to be talking other Star Wars animated shows here soon. Clone Wars was amazing, but Clone Wars also went 7 seasons. It's easier to talk about shows that went anywhere
Oh, I
from
see,
2 to 4. Um, hence why we'll talk about Resistance, Bad Batch, and Rebels. Um, I will never forgive Saul. I don't think we can ever forgive Saul.
no! Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, no,
Yeah.
no.
And I love how like most of the community is like with me on blaming Saw Gerrera for Tech's death, even though Tech's the one that ultimately did it.
I mean, but it's still,
It's
yeah,
Saw Gerrera.
it's so
It's Saw
good.
Gerrera. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um anyway, this show, man. I mean,
Gosh.
we've got 3 episodes left. I don't know how they're gonna finish the show. What if for Clone Wars favorite arcs? You don't have to. I just really want to see you talk
Oh,
Clone Wars.
yeah.
We could do favorite arcs of Clone
Yes,
Wars.
really do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Any
we could do
any, like, Mandalorian related arc, I could talk
that.
for, like, 5
Oh,
hours.
I know. I know. And you know what? I love hearing you talk about Mandalorians. Like seriously, I love listening to you talk about Mandalorians. That was one of my favorite things about having you on, like when Mandalorian season 3 was airing, like having you on to talk
Mhm.
about it was awesome. So
I
good.
miss Mandalorians. Bring them back soon, please.
Yeah, I know. I know. I want I want a proper like Mandalorian video game. Like I think that would
Mm.
be really cool.
That'd be
Um
nuts.
Speaking of video games, the Bounty Hunter video game is getting a remaster and it comes out in August.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've been playing the original on PS5 actually, and I was just like, I can't believe like how much I missed this game.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Anyway, um, predictions for the next episode of The Acolyte.
Oh gosh, that's just like it's so theoretical just
Uh-huh.
because of what I brought up earlier about you don't know how these characters are going to handle the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to predict for the future because it can really drastically change where their paths go. Because how they handle that truth, I think it's a lot easier to theorize maybe how that will come out than like
Hmm.
how they'll react to it. Because I do feel like just based on how much soul I don't think he's gonna tell her right away, but I feel like he's at a place where he especially after seeing how it's affecting him personally, I'd like to think that now that he sees that, he will be a bit more open to sharing. Because, like I said, he said in previous episodes, like, "I'll share, I'll share." The thing though, the one time he really said, like, "I'll explain everything," in a previous episode, he said, "Once we have May." So I'm like, does he really think he needs both of them there before he can share anything? Like, I hope that's not the case because I would like both May and Osha to be coming to terms with everything
Hmm.
that happened. And I don't know how I feel about being because showing versus telling is such a thing where like some people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see it before the truth comes out juicy, juicy. But some people are like, don't tell us but if they say it first and then they show it later, the showing won't be as fun because then we
Hmm.
know what happens, exactly what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that at the moment. I kind of could see them doing the show then tell just because maybe showing first could give the audience more weight as to what needs to be told, but the only reason I don't think they would do that is because this show is so heavy on mysteries that I don't think they're just gonna start off next episode being like, "Well, here's the answer to the big giant secret that Soul has been hiding for like half this season." So I really I'm not sure where they're gonna go with that, but I think that's something I'm interesting to see how they handle just because I know that can be such a divisive thing with people, the whole idea
Yeah.
of versus tell. Um,
Um, yeah. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, no, no, you're totally good. I'm actually curious what you think about that. Do you think there's more power in them telling or showing first?
I I'd rather be shown than told, honestly, because
Mm.
I'd rather like feel like I'm discovering it on my own instead of like a 15-minute monologue about like
Yeah,
what happened.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually agree with uh, Alexa in chat here, Alexa Chipman's in chat here. Saying I think next episode will be a flashback. I'm thinking the same thing. I think what we're gonna get with this next episode, it's going to deal with what actually went down on Brendock with the fire.
I do think I saw, though, someone I apologize, I wanna say it's, like, someone I don't know, it's either someone from Friends of the Force or What the Force or something, like, someone
Mhm.
I don't know, so one of our fellow community podcasts was saying something about, um that the people that worked on actually, I think it was Charlotte and Caitlin, said something
Yeah.
about how the people that worked on the last flashback episode are not for next episode, but the following episode, like 7.
Okay.
So that's maybe a reason why 7 might have the flashback, but I'm not sure if that's true.
It would make sense if it was this episode or the episode after that. Um, because you definitely have to set up Osha being with Chimera. Like you have to explore that a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, like, don't give me a Mandalorian episode of Book of Boba Fett. Like, don't give me that episode.
No, not the
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Boba Fett.
um, don't get me wrong. I love Book of Boba Fett. Like, I will
I
defend
know.
that
How
show.
dare they hijack his show like that?
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
will
still not
defend that
recovered.
show
I'm
with
still not
with all my
recovered.
heart.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but I because you have to set this up. Like
yeah,
you started to set it up, but like now it's time to like really see where this goes.
yeah.
So yeah, I could see them doing episode 7 as a flashback, like one final reveal before we get everything
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett is still my comfort show for Star Wars.
We like Book of Boba Fett. We
We
do.
do. We
We
do.
do. We
We
just,
we had
you know,
issues.
it had issues, and
Yeah.
you can. I was there. We talked about it before. Like they can
Yeah.
go listen to that next. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's fun.
yeah. It
There's
was
fun.
it was fun,
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but that arc should have been in The Mandalorian.
It should
Absolutely.
have been in the
Absolutely.
Mandalorian. Why was
Yeah.
it in that show? I
It
don't
didn't make sense. It
get it.
really didn't make sense.
I'm
Just
like, why are we starting on 10? This is the Book of Boba.
yeah. Yeah, they rushed Grogu's return. Yeah, they did.
Yes,
I've talked
that was
about
my
that
biggest
time
issue.
and time again. I've talked about that time and time again.
Yeah,
It completely negates the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian.
we talked about that for like an hour. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh
Um, and then they rushed the whole taking of Mandalore thing too. Like
yeah.
they rushed that too. But yeah, Book of Boba Fett, I love it because my boy Cobb Vanth showed up again. And honestly, they could have taken those Mandalorian heavy episodes and just fleshed out Cad Bane even more, especially for people that
Yes,
didn't know who he was.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, Cad Bane is not going to show up in the Acolyte, so don't worry about that. We're not going to break any more canon, quote unquote,
Oh my god, no.
especially over a birthday.
Oh no, there will be people that'll say they'll do that. No, please, no, no.
Somebody's probably going to watch this and be like, "They predicted Cad Bane's going to be the next episode."
Oh my god, they're gonna take us our words so out of
Oh yeah,
context,
oh
and then
yeah,
oh my god,
exactly,
no.
exactly. Yeah, Cad
Oh,
Bane's going to show up. So is Omega and the Bad Batch. Like,
I'm not here. No.
we need toothpicks though. There have been no toothpicks yet. Actually, yeah, I do want to see a bounty hunter with a toothpick. In the Acolyte, or you know what? Give Chimera a toothpick
Whoa.
and have him kill a Jedi with the toothpick.
Yes.
Have him like go full John Wick with the toothpick on a Jedi,
Oh
like
my
using
god.
the Force. Like that would be amazing. That would that
No.
would that would be amazing.
Okay.
I mean, if anybody's going to be John Wick, I think it's going to be Soul because he's just a badass. But that's just me.
Okay, I have another question, just because 'cause I'm
Sure.
interested. I don't know how
Somebody
much you've
needs
been.
to tell the
No, I'm kidding.
Phantom Menace that Cat Bane comes back next
Oh my god, no, please don't bring the Phantom Menace here.
week. No, we're this is
Welcome
this
back to
is
the
not going
internet,
to be
Allie.
that.
This is
Anyway, Allie, what
um,
were you going to say? Oh, your
oh
question.
no,
Sorry.
I'm gonna forget. Oh no. Um, do you think Soul knows that's me?
I think so. I think so.
I was just curious where you
Um,
stood on that.
yeah, I really think so because he eyeballs her
Mhm.
like thinking I know who this is.
Yes.
Um, Basil is clearly the one to take out Chimera with the toothpick. Yes, that is true. Um,
I mean, oh my gosh, Basil, he's cute, but I'm like, Basil, are we gonna do anything but just sniff around, sniff around?
yeah, yeah.
I know he's a tracker.
Some people have been calling Basil the Great Mouse Detective,
Oh my gosh.
and like putting their face on the face of the body of the Great Mouse Detective.
Oh,
Um,
no.
for those of you that don't know who the Great Mouse Detective is, that was a 1980s Disney movie. I think so.
Long time ago. My goodness.
Yeah.
I was
It was good though.
40.
Don't make me feel old, Allie. Don't make me
Sorry.
feel
I
old.
always have to, with everyone. With everyone.
I know. I know.
I am getting old though. Oh my gosh. It hits me every day. I'm like, what the heck? I used to be
Okay.
baby of fandom. I'm not baby of fandom no more. I am
No,
20.
no.
So sad.
God. Okay, so I have to ask you, because you're saying that you're old. You ever just wake up from a nap and just be sore and like your back just feels off, like more off than it was before?
The saddest thing is the biggest reason that happens is because of my vision impairment. I had spent so
Ah.
many years leaning close to crap that I've actually just
Mm.
permanently screwed up my back. Like, I have permanent back.
Oh, ouch.
So fun.
Oh
Yippee!
yeah. Yeah, that is fun.
No.
See, this is what happens like when we get together. But I miss this. I really miss
Ooh, I
this. This
miss
was
this so
fun.
much. I was taking notes today and I was like, "My god, I miss this." I just for people who don't know, on my Disney college program, I, like, slept this close to another person, and I had no room, like, there was no podcast studio, there was no, like, place to go. I wasn't about to try to find a place in Disney because Disney's just loud. No one would wanna hear
Yeah.
me podcasting, like, at Ratatouille. I'm sorry, I know we did that, but, like,
We
one
did.
time thing, you
We
know?
did. We did. That was
And so
tough.
I didn't have a space to podcast for, like, a
Hmm.
year. And I also
Yeah.
was just super busy because, like, just
Yeah. It was tough like doing that reaction like from the line
we kind of
because
moved. We were like, "Oh, yeah, we're in a line. That's right."
yeah, because you still have to move and everything, but at the same time like I'm still trying to gather my thoughts.
Oh,
Like,
exactly that too. I was like,
yeah,
"Woo." Yeah.
Disney, I will say this. I love going to Disney. It's like one of my favorite you know, it's like one of my favorite places to go. But I
Mm,
will say this, when it comes to content creation, I don't know how people do it. Like it's just way too crowded for me
yeah.
for like
Yeah,
content
I
creation.
no, for sure. Because I would constantly be like, because I shared like an apartment, like I shared a room, I shared an apartment. Even at the parks, it's super crazy. So every
Yeah.
time I'd be like, oh, I want to write an article. Oh, I want a podcast. Oh, I want to like even just try to make a YouTube video. I always would just get so overwhelmed by the environment
Mhm.
where I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
especially like
I
the editing process. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
yeah,
Not
I mean,
overstimulated.
I don't know how Eve was taking photos of Luminous because I was just like
Mhm.
so overwhelming. My acolytes videos, I have to pray my roommates are quiet for half an hour. I have to edit out so much background. Yeah, I mean that's the tough part too. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of glad like I have my own like little corner now where I can actually do some stuff, even though like the living room's like right over there.
Yeah.
I've got a corner now. I'm not sitting on my couch while my wife's trying to watch TV,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But even then, like I have to make sure like, I mean, it's all sorts of things. Yeah.
Mhm. I just wouldn't
But
want people to have to watch me sitting in an overstimulated environment. Like,
oh
I'm
yeah.
sure I could say great things in that overstimulated environment, but,
Mhm.
like, I know that's not
Yeah.
something people like to watch. So, yeah.
It was hard doing an Instagram live while I was trying to eat my, barbecued mac and cheese at
Exactly.
Animal Kingdom while talking about the Acolyte trailer, like, it was
Exactly.
hard to do that.
Yeah,
And
like, it was a dream experience, but it was an unfortunate sacrifice I had to make, so that's why I'm
yeah.
just so glad to be back here tonight because it was such a
Oh,
hard
yeah.
thing to give up for a year, but I'm back now. So, here
Oh,
we go.
yeah, you're back now. Knights of Ren podcast is about to, kick off
It is.
again.
It is. I
Nice.
need to pull out all my gear and everything. I need to buy a new podcast mic because my
Yeah.
podcast mic literally broke right before I left for Florida. So that's so fun.
Oh, yeah. That is fun. Um, so much respect to Disneyland Vlog. Yeah, I mean, nothing but respect to the people that do content creation at Disney. Like nothing but respect. I just I've tried doing it. It's really tough. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, you're back now. That's awesome. We're gonna have you back on more and more, especially with the Acolyte airing and everything. And
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing some fun stuff with Star Wars animated stuff. We're gonna start doing
I'm
more book
so
content.
I miss talking about Star Wars animation so much. Like that was the biggest thing for the sacrifice too. It was when Bad
Yeah,
Batch was coming out. It killed me so
right.
much. that Star Wars animation was coming out and I couldn't talk about it. I was like, "Oh my god," like, it was horrible. Yeah.
I feel like they also missed a huge opportunity to do a Bad Batch premiere at Disney World.
Oh my
They
god, I
missed
would
a
have been so
huge
happy.
opportunity.
It would have made
They
everything easier.
Because you have the theater right there by Toy Story Land, like in the
Yeah.
back of Hollywood Studios. Like you could have did it there.
Yeah, no, and they even had Bad Batch posters up around, like, Launch Bay. I was like, "Clearly,
Yeah.
they know that's a show that's airing. Can we, like, do
Hmm.
something with it?"
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No.
No,
But that's okay.
it's
That's
fine.
okay. We still had fun. We went to Ogo's
Oh, yeah, no,
and
like I said, it was an amazing experience. It was just one of the
mhm,
few things I had to sacrifice for the experience, so,
yes, we do
yeah.
need more Bad Batch merch. Oh, I am gonna plug something real quick. Even though this isn't a sponsor, but I do want to plug their stuff. If you are looking for Bad Batch merch, especially like
Ooh,
t-shirts and stuff, Only Hope Supply. Only Hope Supply has great Bad Batch shirts. Their t-shirts, I think they do have some hoodies too, and they've got pins and stickers, and they've got a sale going on right now where you can get 10% off. Yeah, it is a shameless plug. You know what? Because it's fun. Um, yeah, so check them out if you want to. They've got some really great merch. I got a Wrecker shirt from there, and I'm actually going to be ordering some more Bad Batch merch this weekend because I need all the Wrecker stuff, and I also want a Hauser shirt. You know, Colonel or Commander Captain Baja Blast. I guess we called him. Yeah. So yeah, it's great stuff. It's great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Yeah, they've got Marvel too. They've got Phantom Menace. They've got Galaxy's Edge stuff with blue and green milk. Um, yeah. All right, Allie, do you have anything else that you want to add before we hop off here for the night? We're not going the full two. We're not doing the full two
so
because
sad. I could say so much more. It's fun.
I know, I know. Well, one of us has to be up at 3:30 tomorrow morning for
Oh,
work.
dear lord. Oh, and it's
So,
way later where you are. I forgot. We're on different time zones now.
yeah. I have to be up in about 6 hours.
It's only 6:23 where I am.
Oh, you still have the full night.
Yeah.
Yay.
No, but I'll let you get sleep. I will just say though, I sorry, the roles were so reversed back when I worked at Disney because I
Oh,
was
I
like, "I
know.
love with y'all, but I need to go to work tomorrow morning." Yeah. I oh my gosh, I'll just say that I will share more on Knights of Ren just because like I just have so much more I could dig into. And I because there's just so much with like Osha and May that we could still talk about, and so much with like the Jedi stuff we could talk about, but like that will all come out too. I'm sure in the future episodes we could talk about it more too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really applaud everyone who worked on this episode, like the action, the acting, just everyone put so much heart and effort into this. I see this why this was Leslie's favorite episode. It was amazing. And I'm just really thank you for good Star Wars, even though you killed off all of our favorite characters. And Swagman, please send me tissues because I still cry
Yeah.
every night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Yeah. Swagman, hook a couple of people up.
Please.
Um, yeah, hook us up because we're probably going to need more tissues by the end of the show. That's all I'm going to say. Um, yeah, no. Everybody, give Allie a follow on social media. Also, give the podcast a follow. Knights of Ren
Thank
podcast. It's
you.
awesome.
Thank
Um, yeah, of course. No, you're awesome. You're one of my favorite people in the Star Wars community. Seriously, like you, and you know we had so much fun with you in Florida. Like seriously, we had so much fun with you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I hope that that you all join us next week for the live show. Actually, guess what? Next week I don't have to go to bed early
Woo!
because I
3 hour
start a new
podcast.
yeah. because I start a new schedule.
Woo, woo, woo.
It's WREN. I start a new schedule on Sunday the 6th
Mm.
or on Sunday the 7th. So I go back to nights. I get banished back to the night shift.
No.
I know, but that's going to be Monday through Friday, so I'll have Saturdays and Sundays off, so I can
Alright.
hang out with all of you lovely people.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so if you want to do a 3-hour podcast next week, if you are free, just let me know. If you're
See,
free,
I'm on
we will make it
vacation.
happen.
I will rely on the hotel Wi-Fi for the 3-hour podcast, you know?
If you're on vacation, don't worry about it. We'll do a 3-hour finale
Star Wars.
podcast.
It's
Yeah.
Star Wars. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Yes. It's WREN, Knights of Ren,
Yes,
podcast
like
like
Sabine
Sabine
Wren,
Wren. Yep.
Mandalorians. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Allie, thank you once again. That's it for our show this week. Hope that you all have a wonderful week. May the force be with you. God, where'd my mouse go? There we go. I have two monitors. Like I have my laptop monitor and a regular monitor, so like my
Mhm.
mouse like goes all over the place. Uh, may the force be with you. May you always fight for light and life. And just remember, at the end of the day, we're all the Republic. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
And okay, I had to click the button.